I don't know what's going on here, okay? TKO, ever since they merged the UFC and the WWE, both products for the United States customer especially has gotten so bad, all right? The pay-per-views essentially went from $60 to I think $79.99 USD for one pay-per-view, and that's the main card, okay? And if you're talking about the UFC in particular, right? I've always had a UFCarabia.com subscription that was $5 a month, okay? With that $5, you got the entirety of UFC Fight Pass plus all the pay-per-views all included for just $5 USD. Okay, and that is through a VPN. And ever since Netflix announced that Raw exclusively will be streamed in the United States on Netflix, then I was like, hold on a minute. If it's going to be Raw exclusively on Netflix and globally it's going to be everything on Netflix, why don't I just use the same logic and use my VPN and, connect to Canada, for example, and see if it works? Bro, I literally connect to the United Kingdom and I have the entire library. As to when I'm, in the United States, I look at the library, it's only Raw. So when the WWE goes out of their way and announces a new deal with ESPN, who is essentially looking to create a new streaming service, right? ESPN, as we know, it is a TV broadcasting network, but they also have the other platform called ESPN Plus. And so within ESPN Plus, with the UFC at least, you also had to buy the pay-per-view in it. So not only did you have to buy your subscription into ESPN Plus, on top of that, if you wanted to watch a UFC pay-per-view, you had to buy the pay-per-view itself, the main card in particular, those 5 cards, for $80. And so when they announced that all the PLEs from now on within the United States will be exclusively streamed on ESPN, dude, I rolled my eyes, because not only did I know what it meant, it's going to come out of our pockets. Who else is going to pay for it, okay? So when I saw that and I looked into it, ESPN is ready to launch a new app, right? A new service, a new streaming service for $29.99 a month. Bro, are you kidding me? $29.99 a month. Are you mentally enslaved here? What is going on here, right? And the thing is this, Netflix, of course, they stream Raw every single week. On Netflix exclusively, and all the other PLEs are on Peacock or whatever the hell it is, okay? But I don't know if you guys already know this, like I said before, if you just simply use a VPN and connect to the United Kingdom, you get all the PLEs, all the shows, NXT, Raw, SmackDown, you get a bunch of older pay-per-views and all the other shows every single week. Every single week. I was never watching WWE on a week-to-week basis. And as soon as they announced that it'll be on Netflix, I was over the moon. I was like, from now on, I'm going to watch it live. Because I would always catch the replays and the videos on YouTube, and I would follow it like that. I never watched a WWE show, as in like Raw or SmackDown on a week-to-week basis, beginning to end. Live. Never in my life. So I was really happy to see that. And when I saw that ESPN is getting involved, I just had to shake my hand, okay? What the hell is Triple H doing? I mean, I'm not going to grill Triple H here. What the hell is TKO thinking here? It's one thing to have a $1.6 billion deal with ESPN, but it's another thing to just assume that the customers are so stupid that they will just go out of their way and pay it. And the thing is this, TKO doesn't care one bit if ESPN, recoups their money. They don't care one bit. So I am clearly urging you guys right here. All right. I wish I was sponsored by, NordVPN, Surfshark VPN, ExpressVPN. I think I'm forgetting one thing. Whatever VPN it may be, right? I wish I was sponsored by them right now so I could give you guys a fat deal for 3 years. I'm currently using NordVPN myself. And I think I'm paying like $70 for 3 years. So do the math on that, right? So what is that, like $2 or $3 a month? I'm paying that, and I'm getting all of that content. And I used to pay $5 a month for UFC Arabia to get all the UFC pay-per-views, shows, whatever, without any ads, without anything. So in total, I was paying less than $10, and the UFC and WWE are respectively asking me to pay $80 for a damn pay-per-view, and they're asking me $30 to pay for a PLE. Are you kidding me? Are you actually kidding me, dude? So let's just say, right, a UFC pay-per-view that I really want to watch falls on the same month as, WrestleMania. Are they expecting me genuinely to pay $110 a month? Are you stupid? Are you actually stupid here? And the thing is this, I know that, us as WWE fans, like I said, you have so many options to go out of your way and get a VPN and connect to the United Kingdom or Canada, whatever you want to do. As long as it is outside of the United States, you have all the content. And the thing is this, as long as you are connected to the VPN outside of the United States, bro, you can still sign up to the WWE network for $9.99 a month. The WWE network is still up and running. It's just not in the United States. So, sometimes I was thinking to myself, like, maybe I should go out of my way and get the WWE network as well. But then I thought to myself, if it's really like that worth, like, is it really that worth it to get, just, $10 a month for all of that documentary content? I can just go on watchwrestling.ai, watchwrestling.to, and, catch those documentaries myself. Everything is going to be free out there. And the thing is this, you cannot beat piracy. All right, you cannot beat it. And when you come out of your way and you announce a horrendous deal like a $30 a month model for only the PLEs, then you are essentially saying, yes, you, the United States viewer, if you want to watch Raw on a week-to-week basis live, you have to pay Netflix, whatever it is, like $15 a month. Additionally, if you want to go out of your way and watch the PLEs, you're going to have to pay $30 on top of that. That is $45 a month just to watch Raw and the PLEs every single week. And if you want to catch SmackDown on top of that, you got to pay Peacock, whatever it is, $5 a month, $10 a month. So that's pushing $55. Let's just round it up to $60. You want the WWE consumer in the United States to pay $60 in this economy? While there are so many alternatives out there, aka free and piracy, you are genuinely asking ESPN to screw themselves over. ESPN already has a very bad, essentially a very bad deal with the UFC. As soon as the UFC signed with ESPN, bro, the UFC essentially said, all right, we're out of here. And they stopped promoting. They stopped doing everything aside from that was actually obligatory to sell the pay-per-views. Because if you guys remember during the UFC Fox era or Spike era, 2 months out of the pay-per-view, they would have press conferences every single time. And nowadays, the UFC, it does barely any promotions. The most that you will get is Dana White in the war room, going live and announcing the fights, and that's it. And now if you look at the WWE, what do you have with the WWE? You have all these PLEs that in of itself are already getting barely any promotion as it is because of the non-pay-per-view model. Because during the pay-per-view model days, every single pay-per-view had to get sold, right? So what happened in those, in that era, while there were still pay-per-views, the sets were there, right? There was promotion. Every single pay-per-view felt like a big deal. WWE No Mercy, Judgment Day, Bash In, whatever, right? Like every single set had an appeal. Every single set had an aura. Every single pay-per-view had a reason to be viewed. Whether it was good or bad, they tried to essentially do their best to sell it. But what do you have nowadays? Right? You have one big LED screen, and when the time comes for the PLE, and I call it PLE now because it used to be pay-per-views. But let's just say for the sake of argument, now that the pay-per-views come around, what do? They go out of their way and they slap a new logo on the big screen. The ring stays the same. All you have is just maybe a few more different ads on the canvas. On the backdrop, on the barricade, there's also an LED screen. That is also slapped on with a new logo, and everything stays the same. There's no difference between the set at Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, and whatever PLEs it might be, aside from the big four, right? If it's not WrestleMania, if it's not SummerSlam, if it's not Survivor Series, and if it's not the Royal Rumble, every single PLE looks the same. So for ESPN, the fact that they go out of their way and buy 11 or 12, they bought the rights to 11 or 12 PLEs a year, they're only going to get back their money's worth for maybe those 4, and that's a maybe. So what happens to the other 6 or 7? What are you going to do there, right? I don't really care what ESPN does. I don't really care if they're going to get their money back, but it's just the assumption that we as the consumer will pay $30 for Money in the Bank, that we will pay $30 for Clash at the Castle, Clash in Paris, that we will pay $30 for Backlash, that we will pay $30 for Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia, that we will pay $30 for Crown Jewel, is completely absurd. And what world does that make any single sense? I mean, we have it good as it is, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a Peacock subscription. I never had a WWE Network subscription. I always had a Netflix subscription for the last maybe 10 years or so. So when I heard that they were coming to Raw, I was like, dude, let me just look around and see what else they have to offer. And I saw everything else is globally available on Netflix. Okay, that was an easy buy for me, right? I switch on the VPN and I'm there and I'm watching. That's how I watched SummerSlam. That's how I watched WrestleMania. That's how I watched NXT, SmackDown, every single show live. And the only thing that I wish Netflix did a little bit better was actually maybe create a channel, right? On YouTube, you have YouTube channels, right? You click on the channel and you have all the content laid out. On Netflix, they're doing a little bit better of a job nowadays, but I want to have like a channel dedicated to WWE, documentaries, live events, upcoming live events, past pay-per-views, things of that nature. So they're doing that. It's gotten a little bit better since January, but it's still a work in progress. But I'm just nitpicking here. I can watch it as much as I want, no matter what. And the WWE truly has sold their soul, right? This is essentially going back to the pay-per-view models. And this is just assuming that ESPN will launch that $30 a month, streaming service. And I'm only assuming that it is not going to include ESPN Plus, or anything else that might need to get your foot into ESPN, right? Because like I said, with the UFC, you got to have ESPN Plus, and once you're in ESPN Plus, on top of that, you got to pay $80-$70 for the pay-per-views for the UFC. And now with ESPN coming around, all I know is that we will get shaken down for our money, and that is not going to happen on my watch. I will go to the end, to the absolute end, to the absolute brink of endless possibilities to not pay my dime to ESPN. I will not do it. I've never done it for the UFC. I'm not going to do it for the WWE, okay? If it really has to come down to it, like I said, watch Wrestling TO, watch Wrestling AI, whatever it may be, dude, you can find anything, all right? And so me as a decent consumer, I don't want to go out of my way and pirate. I don't want to go out of my way and watch these like crappy streams that are 360p and buffer. I don't want that. I want to have a good relaxing enjoyment, and go out of my way and kick back and sit down and watch as it is intended to watch. You know what I mean? So when Triple H comes out and he says like, yeah, it's new era, it's this, it's that, it's this and that, at the end of the day, the only people that are really excited about it is TKO. The fans will have to pay for it, literally. You know what I mean? So you can't really convince me that this is a good deal. What, 11? Like we're only going to be able to watch the PLEs on ESPN on demand streaming, whatever it is called. Let's just say ESPN Plus for the sake of the video, right? We're going to pay $30 for ESPN Plus every single month for the PLEs alone. Damn, bro, what a downgrade. And this will cost like $300 a year. Or like I've seen like another post where it says like, oh, like if you include this cable and that, it's going to be close to like $450 a year. Are you kidding me? $450? Dude, that's like what? That's 5 years worth of Netflix. And like I said, a 3-year NordVPN subscription only costs like $70, and that comes out to like what, $2 a month, $3 a month, $4 a month, whatever it is, right? So there are endless possibilities to go around this. Honestly, if you are a dedicated viewer, don't even bother. Don't even bother with ESPN. Don't even bother with anything else. If you don't want to, if you're not on Netflix and you only care about WWE, like I said, get your VPN, connect to Ireland or the United Kingdom or whatever, maybe Canada, and you can sign up to WWE Network. It's still up, it's still running. You have all the same deals, and you can get that for $9.99 a month. All right, you don't have to pay for Netflix if you don't really care about it, and you can go from there. And if you're worried about your TV, most smart TVs you can download your VPN. Like I think I have NordVPN on my Chromecast, and I just connect to the United Kingdom on my TV, on my smart TV, and boom, Bob's your uncle, bro. And that's literally it. On your phone, it's even easier. On your PC, it's even easier. So unless you're on console, that might make it a little bit trickier. But like I said, bro, dude, all right. To save that much money a month, a year, come on. You might as well be able to get that done. You know what I mean? It's not a hard thing to set up, and it'll get done. Because the last thing I want to hear, you guys, is, oh yeah, I have a Peacock subscription. Oh yeah, I have a Netflix subscription. And yes, I also have a ESPN Plus subscription. Like, bro, are you kidding me? You could literally become a member on Heels Advocate and get more bang for your buck. Literally, bro. And the thing is this, they are only like, it's not like this is a new option that we can enjoy now, right? It's not like we weren't able to watch the PLEs. No, it's literally making something that we already are used to watching and already consuming more difficult and more expensive. So overall, this cannot be a good deal for anybody. I understand that ESPN thinks that they're going to get their money's worth, but trust me, bro, not even WrestleMania can save this. You guys have like officially burnt money, accept it, take the L. This is a great move by the WWE, and honestly, man, they are really playing everybody really well. TKO is playing everybody really well. And the thing is this, the WWE makes TKO a lot of money, right? We talk about like the $3.2 billion in debt that TKO is in. Slice that in half, bro. It's only $1.6 billion now. So TKO is definitely trying to make up for all of that cost, all of that debt that they have. And it's really the UFC still burning a lot of money for them. The UFC, they're trying to cut costs as much as possible. That's why they're having Apex fights. But with the WWE, you can't have Apex, You can't have those like, events without any crowds. You just can't, bro. Like, wrestling is dependent on the crowd. That is the business. And if they want to go out of their way and influence the product in that way to the point where they have to cut so many costs and it becomes really apparent, then I have a major issue. I can bite the bullet and say ads on the mat. Okay, I'm used to it now. I can have it. I can have the Prime bottle at ringside. I can have that. I can have those ads being displayed at the barricade LEDs. I can have that. I can have Cash App being promoted on the Money in the Bank. I can have all of that. But as soon as they try to have maybe like a new show sets, like let's just say there's like another NXT show that's like at a certain facility every single time, limited time, and that goes out to ESPN every single month, and like I'm gonna think to myself, this is nothing more than a cash grab. That is exactly what UFC Apex fights feel like, and I don't want the WWE to get to that point. And thankfully, this deal is only based for the PLEs, and it's 11 PLEs. We have about one PLE every other month, essentially, like 1 month and a half, essentially. So this will not impact the WWE, and this will be a 5-year deal with ESPN. I'm really looking forward to seeing how much money that the WWE can get out of ESPN, because I'm not sure if they want to really live up to those 5 years. When it comes to Netflix, Raw has been declining in viewership every single month. I'm not sure how happy Netflix is, but I'm sure they're really happy though. If it's not Raw or SmackDown, SummerSlam, they do great numbers. WrestleMania, they do great numbers. On social media, they do terrific numbers, more than ever, essentially. So if it's not really them watching live on a month-to-month basis, on a week-to-week basis for the weekly episodic shows, they're at least getting their money's worth for the PLEs. And that is my big problem here, right? If the week-to-week product doesn't lead into a big PLE, right? Like essentially the entire year has been, every single Raw, every single SmackDown has been filler, trash, filler, trash. And so now that ESPN has signed up with this deal for only the PLEs, you can't convince people anymore to sign up for $30 a month and just to watch that PLE. It doesn't work, all right? People will find a way to pirate it, and they'll find a way to get Netflix through a VPN, whatever it may be, and they'll go from there. It is the only smart way to go, because if the weekly episodic shows are suffering, this will play into the PLEs, right? SummerSlam, like I said, I was not too fond of it. SummerSlam could have been way bigger, could have been way better. And of course, we had the big Brock Lesnar return, which was great. It was a great pop. But in terms of a storyline, it truly didn't make that much sense. And that is the problem that we have right now with the current WWE product. If the PLEs do not make any sense, what should the weekly shows be? And if the weekly shows suck, the viewership will decrease as it has been, and this will play into the PLEs. No matter how, long SummerSlam has been around, no matter how long WrestleMania has been around, no matter how long Survivor Series or the Royal Rumble has been around, if you cannot convince people to watch frequently, they will not care for the PLEs. And then what do you have? A decline in viewership. But, of course, you have your sold out stadiums because it's the culture, right? You cannot have, people will always go to WrestleMania. People will always go to Royal Rumble, SummerSlam. That will not be an issue here. It will be the issue for the viewers that want to watch it on a week-to-week basis, like somebody like me. And if you're going to make it harder for me, I will make it harder for you to get my dollar, all right? So, like I said, you guys, I hope I can get sponsored by one of these VPNs. I hope I can get you guys a fat deal like I got for $70 for 3 years. I mean, come on, you can't beat that. So hopefully sooner rather than later, I can get a VPN deal and you guys can sign up with code HeelsAdvocate and get a massive deal. And you guys can enjoy WWE hassle-free for the down low. And that will be all she wrote. I have been the Heels Advocate, and I'm out.